On this episode of the Rebel Health Tribe podcast, available at rebelhealthtribe.com, we welcome Andy Hnilo from RHT
So, March 20th, 2011, I was in a big accident here in Los Angeles. I was hit by a westbound heading SUV, hit in the eastbound lane and run over by a Land Rover. Lost consciousness. I broke 7 ribs. I woke up in Cedars-Sinai ICU with a shattered jaw. My chin was punctured the bottom of my mouth. This whole left side of my face, from the middle of my chin to just beneath my left ear, was just in pieces. And I couldn't talk. I had 2 of my really good friends in the ICU in there with me, and I was on a lot of morphine, so I was just kind of trying to figure out where I was and what was going on. I quickly found out what did happen, and it was just it just rocked me. So I had
You got hit, like you were a pedestrian and you got hit?
Yeah.
Holy.
I was a pedestrian, and I looked down for a minute, just got hit, and then hit the eastbound lane and by another car and run over, and very lucky to be here. People don't survive accidents like that. And so I had perspective before, and I was a grateful person before this, but that kind of accelerated that appreciation for life.
That's coming up.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Rebel Health Tribe Podcast. I'm Joe Rignolo with Michael Roseline. What's up, Michael?
Yo, man, how's it going?
Going good, man. Crazy day. You just got off a really cool webinar talking about leaky gut, so that's always fun.
I did. Now we're going to change gears a little bit and talk about non-leaky skin.
Nice. Good segue.
Yeah.
That brings us to our guest, Andy Hnilo from AlloTurNaturals.com. What's up, Andy?
Hey, how's it going? Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, it's a pleasure, man. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I was telling Michael, I met him at my second conference, the first being the Bulletproof Conference, and then followed up with Paleo Effects, which is great. We only had 2 products at the time, and we were expanding, but it was just those conferences are everything, and there's just invaluable relationships. You get the chance to just tell your story face to face with not being a salesperson. I mean, it's my company, so I just it's so much fun for me.
That's great. Well, for folks who aren't familiar with you and your company, tell folks what you do and why you do it.
So, March 20th, 2011, I was in a big accident here in Los Angeles. I was hit by a westbound heading SUV, hit in the eastbound lane and run over by a Land Rover. Lost consciousness. I broke 7 ribs. I woke up in Cedars-Sinai ICU with a shattered jaw. My chin was punctured the bottom of my mouth. I had, this whole left side of my face, from the middle of my chin to just beneath my left ear, was just in pieces. And I couldn't talk. I had 2 of my really good friends in the ICU in there with me, and I was on a lot of morphine, so I was just kind of trying to figure out where I was and what was going on. I quickly found out what did happen, and it was just it just rocked me. So you got hit, like you were a pedestrian and you got hit?
Yeah.
Holy. I was a pedestrian, and I looked down for a minute, and just got hit, and then hit into the eastbound lane and by another car and run over, and very lucky to be here. People don't survive accidents like that. And so I had perspective before, and I was a grateful person before this, but that kind of accelerated that appreciation for life.
Wow.
So
what were you doing before that?
I was in the entertainment industry. I still kind of dabble in that, but this company, RHT Naturals, has really expanded. We're now in 44 countries, and we just celebrated our 2nd year. June 26th was when we launched, 2014, and really interesting scaling up, because I had never had a physical product before. I've never even run a business. I was a personal trainer where I would just get cash or whatever, but it was completely different when my partner Dave Asprey, helps me fund a product that he's going to carry on his website. So I took it very seriously, and I didn't really, I bought a big mud mixer from Home Depot. I bought, a little over 1,000 pounds of my 9 ingredients. I bought I rented a 24-foot U-Haul, went up to Malibu. Luckily I had a little warehouse space, and I had friends that would come help me out, but usually it was just me up there mixing and just one by one bottling. Yeah. We had to scale up to a lot of units, as you can imagine, what Bulletproof would want on their site, and it was just it was one of the most exciting times of my life because I was also modeling every day for Oakley. So I would drive down to Santa Ana where their headquarters is, and I would drive back and I would drive up to Malibu, which is, during traffic, you can imagine how long that would take. But it was just pure adrenaline, right? So I didn't really need too much sleep. It was so exciting that because I've been a customer for Bulletproof for so long, and the fact that they wanted to carry my product on their site it's kind of hard to put into words, but I was just going, so that that's where it all started. And
it's like warp speed the way your life went for the past couple years.
Yeah, but it's beautiful. Yeah, it's so much fun because you go from just questioning and not really having any certainty on what you're going to do in life, and then to having a chance to having purpose and helping others feel better about themselves. And I just, we haven't really stopped since then, knock on wood. But
so the skincare stuff then, that was as a result of your accident and wanting to heal your own damage, correct?
Right. I just, bless his heart, but my surgeons were recommending these products that were loaded in corticosteroids, synthetic ingredients, chemicals that I felt were just counterproductive in the healing process. It was, a lot of toxic ingredients that not only was extremely expensive, but I would read the back. I've always been very interested in ingredients, like almost an obsession. So I just thought I had nothing but time. I started just experimenting in the health and beauty aisles in the stores around here, buying essential oils, butters, clays from all around the world, different ingredients. I would study spa treatments. I would add my own little twist, things like colostrum, pearl powder, ginseng, that I had never seen used topically, but I just feel your skin being your largest organ, it's going to respond best to a meal of just nutrient-dense, growth factor-rich ingredients. And I was throwing these things together, and then I started the same people who saw me in the ICU were just blown away because they couldn't tell that anything had happened. That inflammation, that swelling had gone down immensely just within a matter of weeks. 7 weeks later, I didn't tell my Northern California modeling agent about my accident, and I was able to walk the runway for a Macy's runway show up in Northern California, which is pretty. I just got my teeth out my wires out the Thursday before the Saturday event, and it was just good to be back. It was just a little goal of mine to develop that momentum of being back to doing something that I thought I'd never do again, and that kind of got that personal momentum going. And on top of that, Dave and we're going through our whole little, building a business, and it was just. Yeah, it's like you said, it was pretty much warp speed, but
so you said 7 weeks after your accident?
Right. Yeah. So the accident was March 20th, and right around the Thursday before I got my wires out, I went to that runway, or I walked the runway for Macy's that Saturday. So it was once I got my wires out, I was ready to go, but my mom has pictures from that event. I definitely, it was, you could tell that some things were still there. I still had a big road rash scar on my right hip that it was kind of, you can't miss that, but it's just, it was pretty cool how I was able to come back and just do something that made me feel good again, because I was down. It was a very dark, that whole year was, I was still recovering. This side of I severed a nerve right here that communicates movement from the brain to just certain reactions of your face. Like one of my side of my face, my left side of my face wasn't, the dimple wasn't going up to this side, so I had to over accentuate my left side of the face to make it look like I was, it was even. It was just a lot of physical things that I just had to fight through mentally to get to feel okay. But
and so by the time you were 7 weeks later, by the time you were sort of back on the runway and doing your thing again, do you have this product developed?
I had the formula, and then everything had to come in. We got 2,000 8-ounce dome jars from Kentucky.
So you knew right away. You developed this thing. You saw the results that you got for yourself, and you knew right away that this is something you were going to try and market and try and sell to tell people.
Not right away. This was at that point of time after the accident. It was just putting together something that I felt was I never had an intention of ever creating a product. So Dave and I, the podcast we did, it was in 2014. So this was 3 years, almost 3 years later. But in those 3 years, it was beta testing all around town. We went through several different names, Golden Glow being the first one, but it sounded like a bronzer, so we didn't go with that. luckily. The whole premise of Alitura is it's Latin for feeding, nourishing, natural. Like that, it's like a meal for your skin, and it's a universal language. So I'm glad we went with that over Golden Glow.
That makes
sense. But
sense.
it's just it was a lot of beta testing. It was driving around town in my backpack and my wooden bowl and apple cider vinegar and essential oils and just getting that thumbs up from my friends. That's all I needed. I didn't sell it for at least a year and a half. Yeah. And even selling it was difficult because it was kind of hard to charge because it was just my creative outlet. I didn't have a website. I didn't have a working name. I was, when I finally did a first podcast with Dave, I had to come up with a form of payment because
how did you connect?
I signed up.
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to know. How did you connect with Dave Asprey and how did he get involved?
So I troubleshooted his email address. So I went d.asprey at Bulletproof. At this time, it was bulletproofexecutive.com. David Asprey, Dave at Bulletproof. David, like seriously, 8 or 10 different combinations, and I copy pasted the same email, and I did before and after pictures of me in the ICU and like something I did for like Men's Health magazine. I was spending a lot of money on his products at the time, and I just kind of wanted to somehow be involved with Bulletproof in some way and just give him a thank you. But one of them went through. He got back to me. He took me on board as an ambassador, and about 7 months later, he had me on his podcast, which is fun, and that's his reach is huge. So that's how it all started. People were emailing me, saying a lot of nice things about just how they responded to the story of resilience and just coming back when you're at the bottom. But also they wanted to try the product, and that was just. We had to. He was getting a lot of feedback too, and just so we went through. Hey, let's build this thing, and it took about a month and a half to kind of get things all together and how we were going to do it, and then in June is when we finally launched on Bulletproof site, but then also our site Alitura Naturals was ready to go, and it was official. But it was kind of learning how to run a business from the back way, like selling first and then trying to get logistics and shipping. Yeah. I mean, I would handwrite labels out. I just stopped doing that. I mean,
really?
But I was yeah. I mean, but I just the business side of things is where I should still need to improve on. But as far as just attention to detail with ingredients and sourcing and being literally obsessed with the R&D part of it, that's something that's something I think is a strength. But yeah, I moved everything out of my bedroom here in my apartment into my living room, and I made my bedroom my lab where I mixed everything after that first month in Malibu because we couldn't use that space for we told the guy told us, he's like, yeah, you got about a month and a half here, it's yours. But that time we couldn't use it anymore, so we had to go back here to the apartment. I had friends help me out with the labeling aspect, but we were just on the go, just learning how to do it. But the good thing is that people were responding to the product both on Bulletproof site and on my site. It was it's going great.
I love that you just kind of stalked Dave for
that is totally an entertainment industry move too. I know a few other people that are actors or musicians, and I've heard very similar stories about trying to get either trying to get a demo tape into somebody or trying to get a portfolio or somebody. Right. Like, yeah, I've heard that more times since I moved out to Southern California than I'd never heard of that tactic in Chicago. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, it's just you want something, go get it. You got to pound the pavement. I don't, nobody's gonna do. I don't really like asking favors, so I just trying to find a way. Luckily, it worked out. But that's what same thing. Entertainment industry. A lot of my friends, it's you got to go there. Go meet these people. Pound the pavement. People respond to passion. Story. It's just there's no rhyme or reason how to do it, but I swear passion is the number one way to do it. That's what a lot of people are going to respond to.
Don't overthink it. I mean, if you overthink that strategy, you'd probably talk yourself out of it.
Right. Yeah. Just go.
It's really good stuff too. My wife, but she wasn't even fully into since we met. That was FX in 2015, so like over a year ago. At that point, she was still very on the fence regarding switching all of her cosmetics and her makeup and her lotions and her things because she didn't feel that there were natural alternatives to all of those things that were equally as good, and she's into makeup, she's into all that stuff, and so she was kind of leery, I'm sure it'll be okay. And then we got it home. It probably sat there honestly for a couple weeks, And then she was going through my bag of goodies, because you come home from those things with like bags full of stuff, and you got to decide like which is the stuff you actually want and whatever. And I said, hey, you want to try this? And she was like, oh, okay. And about an hour later, she's like, this stuff is fucking great. My skin feels awesome. Was this that guy that we talked? I'm like, yeah, that was him. And so she loved it, and it's really, really good. I mean, it's there's no drop off in, you know, a lot of times women are hesitant to switch to more natural, either beauty products or makeup or whatever, because they don't think it'll be as effective. And I've run into this with clients trying to teach them like all the crap that's in those products, and that we drink that stuff through our skin essentially. And I can assure people that there is absolutely no drop off, or it's even, but she said it's her favorite of the, she had the mask, I think. That's like her favorite skin mask product she's ever used. And
that's, that means a ton. I mean, thank you.
She was stunned. She was actually surprised, and I could tell she almost like didn't want to like it as much as she liked it, because it kind of went against her narrative that the clean stuff couldn't be as good as the others. But if she listens to this, I'm sorry for sharing these things. You know, people ask us questions not only about like skincare products, but every type of food or product or thing. And so we're like, well, let's talk to all these companies and try to put something together. And yours was the first name that I emailed when we went for, you know, skin-related stuff. And so I'm really happy to be partnered. I didn't even know you were involved with Bulletproof. That could explain the astronomical speed at which the business grew.
Yeah, for sure. So I know when you started out, I think Mike was saying you started out with 2 products. You have a bunch more now, right?
Right. So after the mask, people were asking me for my recommendations as a follow-up moisturizer, what to use, and so I started going to work in my head on. I've always been really impressed with bee products. Just they're so molecularly complex. Things like royal jelly, propolis, beeswax, honey. I knew that I wanted a bee product base, and I added my favorite botanicals to it, like sea buckthorn oil, calendula, carrot seed, super nutrient dense essential oils too. But the thing is, we didn't add any glycerin. There are absolutely no parabens, no synthetic chemicals. I mean, I want to treat it like you want to treat your skin like another mouth, essentially. So it took a while, but as Michael knows, we bottled it in mirror glass, where we don't have to add a preservative. Their whole theme is it's preserved by the bottle, not by toxins. So we're not adding any potassium sorbate, sodium benzoate, nothing like that. It's all preserved by just, you know, bee products. You can keep a jar of honey in your kitchen for so long, and it'll stay nice and fresh. And that's always fascinated me. So I really like the fact that we didn't have to add any stabilizers, any fillers, thickeners, fragrances. It's all natural from the earth. So that's our moisturizer. It's 95.4% certified organic. It's you know, when you create things for yourself, it's you absolutely don't cut any corners, and we're pretty happy with how that turned out. And then so people wanted to ask me. They were asking me about eye serums, night creams, things like that. So about a year later, we introduced our night cream, which has 2 different plant-derived stem cells, 10% hyaluronic acid, colostrum, royal jelly. I mean, it's just red clover. I mean, I could go on and on and on. It's just
crazy. I want to back up a little bit, because what was the very first product that you made, the one that you made for yourself to help yourself heal? What was the very first product?
So that's the Alitura clay mask. It's 4 different clays. It's first 6-hour milking, grass-fed colostrum, freshwater pearl powder that the geisha's been using for centuries just to keep a nice even skin tone. It's just this, and I had a lot of. How
did you know what to put in it? Like, how did you just did the research and?
Well, yeah. It's one of those things. Sorry to interrupt. It's just one of those things I just love. I love researching, and it was out of necessity. I mean, I wasn't happy with what I saw in the mirror, and I wanted to figure out a way to counteract that in the quickest way possible. And a lot of those things, clays, have been used for centuries just to help pull out impurities, toxins. Bentonite is just something I was using internally and externally for years. I had bad skin, but I counteracted that with a clay mask that I made. I think it was Aztec healing clay, probably about 10 years ago. Just one ingredient. It was undeniably effective with the stimulation and circulation it provided to the surface of the skin. But with that, it opened up a whole world of clays to me. Things like pyrophyllite, which is over 70% silica, which is the building block, and collagen. Rasul clay, which is just so amazingly mineral dense as well, and kaolin, which is used in a lot of products, cosmetic products as well. And I added things like organic kelp powder, which is loaded in sodium alginate, vitamin A, C, K, B12, and your skin is creating that circulation to the surface of the skin, and then a mild exfoliating factor, and then feeding that freshly exfoliated skin with things like growth factors from the colostrum, and then really smoothing it out with the pearl powder. It's just it took a while to get down the exact measurements and the exact, like the ascorbic acid we were using. It started off, I was using a little bit too much, so that created a lot of stimulation. But a lot of people like that, the stimulating of the blood vessels. Really getting oxygenated and creating a lot of circulation to an area where I really needed it. I wanted those capillaries that were stagnant to get moving around, and I really feel like that's what happens in the aging process. Is a lot of these the blood doesn't get circulated. And so yeah, that's the mask, and then American ginseng, just to help build that blood, and it's been used for centuries. I met with several Chinese herbalists to help me not only with my building my blood and getting my toxins out of my system with all the antibiotics and X-rays that I was going through to see if the bone is growing back, but in that they helped me come up with this tonic that I used a lot of the ingredients that I was using internally, externally, and it was just I was beating it from the inside out, so to speak, with just getting rid of those toxins, but also accelerating the healing process of the abrasions and scarring that I had. I mean, this one right here, it looked like railroad tracks. When I got brought into the emergency room, they didn't really stitch. They had to put me back. I understand, pretty quickly, but it was like very thick tracks that you could see. It's no longer there, and I swear it's because of the combination that I was doing internally and externally with just my treatment. Just staying very consistent with it.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. And so, how many products do you have on the site now available?
So now we have a 50 ml moisturizer, a 100 ml moisturizer, a clay mask, a travel pack, which is convenient because a lot of the times people get stopped in the airports, but it's a dry powder, so you don't. If it was liquid, it would be an issue, but so it's not a problem. If anything, they'll just have you take it out and show them that it's powder. Mm-hmm. And then we have a night cream, which will be available hopefully this Friday. It's sold. Yeah, it was out of stock for a little while, and then we have our Alatur Revitalize, which is that herbal tonic that I was telling you about, encapsulated in no fillers, no magnesium stearate, no rice powder, no silica. It's just all adaptogenic Ayurvedic herbs combined with my favorite mushrooms, organic reishi, organic chaga, and leucine, a nice amino acid to help with the circulation of all those just game changers.
So that's an actual supplement that you put.
Yeah, that's it. That's
cool.
Yeah, thank you.
So inside and out, it's great stuff.
Yeah.
I love your story. I love that you took something that ended up being such a dark period of your life and turned it into something so not only positive, but you found your passion.
Thank you. That's exactly what it is. No, thank you. I appreciate that. It was really dark, but you ease your way out and you work through things. And this, oh man, it feels really good. It all makes sense now, but at the time it was kind of difficult to deal with. But it's just, I appreciate that.
And that accident would be terrifying for anyone, but for somebody who at the time makes your living based on looking good, having your face mangled probably threw some thoughts through your head right away, like, what the hell am I gonna do?
Right, and that's right, and that's part of the reason why I reached out to Bulletproof, is because I knew we were aligned with just ingredient purity and just attention to detail, and if they had any positions in the company, I just wanted some way just to let them know, like, I really believe in their mission, and so it all just kind of flowed organically to where it is now into skincare. But yeah, it's just I didn't really know what I was going to do because that was pretty much out of the question. Even though I was doing little jobs here and there, I still could tell if I didn't really look the same, and that's fine, believe me now. But it was kind of, it did rock me because I'm like, geez, what am I going to do now?
Well, you didn't know. I mean, right off the bat, you wouldn't know like how it's going to recover if you're ever, like that would be really crazy. And having just went through an experience with my son in the ICU, I know it's scary. I mean, for the person involved and for everybody else, and the ICU is a scary, intimidating place to begin with.
Oh man, it's
all the beeps and the machines and the sounds and the tubes and the numbers and the words everybody's using that you don't understand, and
in the circles of the doctors coming in, it was just like 6 of them, taking with their notepads, taking notes. It's like, what are they writing? And then
somebody give me the Cliff's notes of this conversation.
Yeah, what did you guys just say? And I'm all out of it. I can't talk. But it's I'm sorry to hear you had to go through that as well. I mean, I can't imagine as a father.
He's okay. He's okay. It was scary. He had a seizure and other complications, but it was I'd never been in an ICU before, so it was an interesting it gives me new perspective on what people go through when they're in those situations.
Right.
Almost like a helplessness feeling too, because you're kind of at the mercy of what's going on. You're just there.
Yeah. Let's see, about a couple months later, I worked down the street from Cedars-Sinai ICU, and those nurses, I mean, they saw me at a point in my life that it's helplessness, and it's just all you want to know, and my family's in the same way. It's like, how's he doing? What do you think? Is there because it was just, that's the only word I could think. They saw me at the lowest point of my life, and so I would go back up there to I think it was the 7th floor. And I would just want to thank them, and I did it a few times, but I mean, they're just doing their job. But every nurse that I meet to this day, I'd like to just tell them just the Cliff's Notes version of what I've been through and how they're not just doing their job, they're just easing people in a point of their life that they're never going to forget, and that's so special. That is I make a point to make that clear to them. It's just they're really helping a lot of people out, and it's in the worst situation possible. Mm-hmm. One of them.
For sure.
But so
awesome
as you said, thank you.
Absolutely. So just tell folks again, it's Alitura Naturals. Just how do you spell that so people can find it if they're not reading the website?
Sure, it's Alitura, so it's Alitura Naturals, Naturals.com. Awesome. And we're also on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and it's all me. I do all the social media, and I want it to be me. I want it to be my voice, and I love going back and forth and engaging with an audience that is has questions and wants to know why, and there's nothing else I'd rather talk about. So it's pretty. It's fun for me.
That's good, man. You light up when you talk about it. It's good to see it. It's good, great stuff.
No, I really appreciate you guys having me on, and
it's a pleasure.
And thanks a lot.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good one.
You too.